In Key Skill 7, we're going to get down to the really nitty-gritty exam-style questions. We're told in 2019 a company is making 25,000 euros a year. That company predicts that they will increase their revenue by 3%. What is the revenue in 2025? Okay, the first thing is to identify the A. The A is how much money they made in the first year, which was the 25,000. The R is a little bit trickier when you talk about percentage increase and percentage decrease. Now in this case we've got a 3% increase. 100 plus the percentage increase divided by 100. So in this case the percentage increase was 3%, so my R will be 100 plus 3, it's gone up by 3%, divided by 100. This formula works just as well if something is depreciating or its value is going down, but you'll just put a minus in here instead of a plus. So we've got R is 1.03. Loads of people think R is 3, and that's a big problem. So I've got A is 25,000 and R is 1.03. Now the next problem is we haven't been given the nth or the third term or the fourth term in a series. We've been given years, and that causes really a lot of mistakes. So if you think about it like this, 2019 is the first year. So the second year would be 2020. The third year would be 2021, etc. Now you could go out and list all of these values for all of the questions. For example, one of the questions later on goes on about 2035, but it's a bit long and not a very elegant solution. So what I like to think about is, this is the year. Now, in my situation, it's the year. If I subtract 2018, the year minus 2018 will give me the n. So for example, 2020 minus 2018 would give me 2. Or 2021 minus 2018 will give me 3. And that number is always, if you imagine what number would be here, 1 before. So let's write that formula down. Year minus 2018 equals to n. And you're going to keep that safe for the rest of the question. 2025. We need to know the corresponding n, because our formula is for U and for S, so all in terms of n, not year. So 2025 minus 2018 would be the n, and that's going to be 7. So this will be the 7th year after the project starts. So what we're looking for is what is the revenue in 2025. They're not talking about the total revenue or how much have they made altogether. No. That would be sum. They're talking about how much have they made in one specific year. So we're looking for our U formula. So the revenue in 2025, we would have N is 7, we would have R is 1.03, and A is 25,000. So write down the formula that you're going to use. So we're going to use UN equals A times R to the n minus 1. We want U 7. We know that A is 25,000. Times by R 1.03, and we worked out the n was 7 minus 1. So you can see why we needed to have the n, not the year, because we need to put the n in here. So we need to work out 25,000 times by 1.03 to the 6. So, trusty calculator. So for money, I usually round to 2 decimal places, so it would be 29,851 euros and 31 cents. Although it took a little while to get started on this question, we're going to be using the A, R, and N formula for the rest, so it will be a little bit quicker. How much has the company made in total by 2035? So when they start talking about altogether in total, adding up all of the payments. It's not what did they get paid in 2035, it's if they save all the money from 2019 to 2035, how much money have they got in their very big, at this stage, piggy bank. So we're talking about sum. Now in our situation, the sum is going to be with r bigger than 1 because r is 1.03, so I'm going to use this formula. Now again, we haven't been given the n, we've been given 2035. So I go back to my formula and I calculate the n that goes with the year 2035. So 2035 minus 2018 will give us our n. So 2 for 20, 12, 17 will be our n. So from there on, it's pretty easy. You just take your S formula, you calculate S7. You've got 25,000 for your A, the same as the previous one, times by 1.03 to the 17 minus 1, all divided by R again, 1.03 minus 1. I would type that exactly like that into the calculator. So 25,000, 1.03 to the 17 minus 1, divided by 1.03 minus 1. So they've got 544,039 euros and 69 cents, or at least that's what they've made. Revenue is what you make before you have to pay everyone, people like the taxman. So that's how much they would have made altogether in 17 years. That needs to be a 17 years. In question 3, we're asked how much money does the company make between 2020 and 2035. Now, we know from the previous question that 2035 relates to the n is 17, or the 17th year. So we need to calculate the n that corresponds with 2020. So again, we're using our n formula here. And now instead of the year, we're going to have 2020. So 2020 minus 2018 is n. So n is 2. So if I was to draw this, how would it look? If you think about it, what they're interested in, we've got the first year, the second year, the third year, the fourth year, all the way up to the year 17. And they're asking how much money is made between 2035, which is n is 17, or the 17th year, and 2018, which is the second year. So in this situation, they're actually asking for all of these ones. Second year up to the 17th year. So they want all of these. Now, the important thing here to know is that when we calculate the sum formula, it always starts from the beginning. So if we do S17, it counts the first, second, third, fourth, all the way up to 17. If we do S4, it calculates the first, second, third, and fourth. We cannot adjust that formula to calculate between the third, for example, and the fifth, if that's what we wanted. What we need to do here is do S17, which would give us every single value from 1 up to 17. And then we need to subtract the amount of money that was made in the first year. So that would eliminate this one, leaving only the second year up to the 17th year. Luckily for us, we already know that in the first year they made 25,000. So S17, we had this number here. So S17 minus 25,000. So the total was 519,039 euros and 69 cents. Let's just elaborate slightly on that point. Imagine we had a simpler example. Imagine we had only 5 years, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And someone wanted to know how much did they make between the third year and the fourth year. Well, what would I do? I want these years here, so I would use S5 would give me 1 plus 2 plus 3 plus 4 plus 5, the money they made in the first year to the fifth year, and I would subtract the first 2 years, S1 and S2. So that would leave me with 3, 4, 5. A lot of people say, oh, well, it's the 5th year, from the 5th year to the 3rd year, and they do that calculation, and that's incorrect. You want to have the 3rd year left. So you would do the 5 years, subtract the first 2 years. Let's have a look at the last question here. In which year does the revenue exceed 30,000? Now, if a geometric sequences, you need to be really confident with your logs. So if we know the formula, ARN minus 1, that's for a specific value. So when does it exceed 30,000? Okay, so I'm going to put in here my A is 25,000 times my R is 1.03 to the n minus 1, bigger than 30,000. So this is my revenue here. That's the formula for how much money is coming into the company, and I need the revenue to be bigger than 30,000. So what you need to do is solve for 1.03 n to the minus 1. So that means you move everything else to the other side. So 1.03 n minus 1 has to be bigger than 30,000 divided by 25,000. We can cancel that down a little bit. And you can divide both of these by 5. That's 6 and that's 5. Now we're going to take logs on both sides because we have an unknown power. Whenever you have a power that you want to work out, you need to take logs. Now we're going to use the rule for logs. It says if there's a power, you can multiply in front by it. So you can move this power here in front and it becomes a multiply. So that power there is now going to be here, n minus 1 times by log 1.03, which is bigger than log 6 over 5. n minus 1 will be bigger than, move this multiply here to the other side and have it as divide. We're trying to solve so that n is on its own now. You can calculate that number here. So log 6 divided by 5, or you can write it like this, 6, 5, and here log 1.03. So that gives us 6.16, or to 2 decimal places, 6.17, and n is bigger than 6.17 plus 1. N is bigger than 7.17. A lot of people think you're finished now, but you've got to think, if this is n, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, n needs to be a whole number because n tells you what place you are in the sequence. So if n is 2, you're at the 2nd place. If n is 3, you're in the 3rd place. So you can't have a 2.5. You can't have anything between the 2nd and the 3rd numbers in a sequence. So in our case, we have n is bigger than 7.17. So 7.17 would be here. So you would imagine here, n would be bigger than 7.17. So the first place that it would be bigger would be n is equal to 8. Now again, you might think you're finished, but you're not quite because you've been asked for the year. So how do we do this? We take our year formula and we say, we know that n is 8. So the year must be 8 plus 2018. The year must be 2026. So in 2026, their annual revenue will exceed 30,000. It will be bigger than 30,000. That wraps up the worded questions. I hope you enjoyed that, and I'll see you very soon. I'm not sure where. Okay, bye for now.